back, everybody, to what I assume is the only coverage of the TBB Hall of Fame quarantine bracket, but with our rise in popularity over the last few days, you never know. There may be another competing network out there looking to get in on some of this action. I notice that you noticed, to my right, your left, Barry Beers is back. His administrative leave has been lifted. I don't think it's necessarily because the criminal charges have been dropped, but I think just our ratings have kind of been tanking a little bit the last few days. And luckily, Bud Light has been kind enough to sponsor us over the weekend. Therefore, I mean, it's perfectly fine for Barry Beers to be able to drink on the job, and I mean, I might as well too. And there's no telling if there's been a beer in there the entire time. Well, today is going to be an interesting segment. As you all know, the brackets will be released today for the fans at home, the general population to fill out for the grand prize of $17. I'll be sending them shortly after you see this video. The deadline for the brackets is just sometime this weekend, sometime before Sunday evening, before the scores start coming out. And for the 10 voters, myself included, voting will be due tomorrow afternoon, Sunday afternoon. Now, the reason for today's segment is that for the people filling out the brackets, how are you going to know how they're going to vote if you don't know who's voting? So what I put together today is a 10-slide PowerPoint deck introducing the voters to you so you know a little bit more about them, how they tick, how they work, who's a loose cannon, who's not a loose cannon. And well, without further ado, I think I'll jump right into it. Cheers. Happy Saturday. Unbelievable, this graphics team. Our first voter, Frank. That is Frank in front of a green screen, wearing a pizza costume. The motto that he chose, or maybe I chose for him, who knows. Life is short by the dress. He's a teacher of science. There's a lot of science categories out there, but I'm not sure if he actually believes in the science that he teaches. That's up for you to decide. He likes to play any kind of game besides mind games. He loves those, loves mind games. He owns an indoor exercise bike that I don't even think it's a Peloton, which says a lot, I think, about him. He uses sour cream in his banana bread recipe. Now, I've had his banana bread, it's delicious, but who knows if it really needed the sour cream in there. And he's made love to upwards of a dozen cameras in his lifetime. That's Frank, 1 out of 10. Up next, we have Vinny. His quote, he. He does not appear to age. His picture's from 2009. He looks exactly the same in 2020. He has a baby named after one of the worst cities in the United States, Charlotte. His fantasy team name has been unchanged for over a decade, and that's Pink Elephants. I wouldn't be surprised if he's never actually watched any of these videos, despite the fact that he's like a willing participant in the voting. And he fancies a great banana hammock. Up next, Lou. Artist rendition of what Lou, I mean, it is crazy accurate that is what he actually looks like on an Italian background. Lou's quote is that he doesn't want a quote unless it's stock. Lou single-handedly puppeteers the stock market. You can blame him for all your 401k losses. He's willing to shoulder that burden. Lou hates his childhood dog, Gordy, who's still alive. He still hates him. I think Gordy's wonderful. Fun anecdote about Gordy, he once got into a bunch of cancer medication and lost all of the hair on his head and one leg, but kept the rest of his hair. Lou's favorite movie is Contact, starring Jodie Foster. He's weirdly and alarmingly skilled at wiffle ball. And he considers Dr. Seuss a personal hero. Up next, we have Paul. There's Paul at Oktoberfest. Paul's been to Oktoberfest twice, which should have been one of the bullet points. I mean, that says a lot about him as a person. Cute but psycho is what he wanted up there. Most likely to catch the Rona in this group of 10 people by far. All the stuff that you saw Governor Cuomo coming out and say you shouldn't do, Paul has just been doing on a regular basis. Incredibly strong bias against Greece and the Greek people. which I think you saw during his television segment. He's obsessed with tax law. He broke Johnny Bravo's record for tallest hair. If you look at the picture, I mean, that's ridiculous. And he believes we should nuke Wuhan as retribution. A lot of the stuff I've kind of twisted for other people. This is all incredibly accurate on Paul. Up next, we got Joe wearing a tuxedo. Hint, hint. Useless as the letter G in lasagna. Not a high confidence guy. Wears tuxedos to James Bond premieres. That's where that picture is from. I'm not even going to comment on that. Voluntarily owns a cat. Lied about his height on his driver's license. Now, if you ask him about it, he said he wasn't lying, but I think we all know. He must eat 3 square meals a day in order every day, no matter how late his day starts. Somehow not 300 pounds. It's a medical marvel. Would take a bullet for Larry David. Even current day, terrible Curb Your Enthusiasm season, Larry David. Sarlo, Joe, still involved. Up next, we got John. John doesn't have social media, really. I don't even know where I found this picture. Interesting look, to say the least. Fashion addict. Enjoys quoting his rec league basketball stats to anybody who will listen or won't listen. Could tell you the score of any Mets game in the last 20 years. He pop stir. Has a habit of passing out on subway cars while sober. Got mono as an adult. Pretty sickly individual, yet Paul is still most likely in this group to catch the coronavirus. Up next, we got Ryan. Fun-loving guy, as you can see. Quote, "Hey Ma." Has no original thoughts, only movie quotes. Faked appendicitis once to get out of a Monday. Cannot be trusted on a Sunday. Once convinced someone in a bar that they were wearing the same shirt, and they very much were not, so he's persuasive, he's a liar. And now that I think about it, he cannot be trusted on any day, like at all. So there's Ryan for you. Up next, you got yours truly, Pat. Wouldn't be fair if I was calling out everybody else. I think I was a little too harsh on myself. This picture was picked for me. Leaving a bit of sparkle everywhere I go. Also, not my choice. Emotionally fragile. I think we all can. I'm getting upset at myself for even having written that. Inability to cope with social distancing even before the pandemic. Would probably go way too far with a fake bracket given the opportunity. Case in point. Highly susceptible to Instagram ads. And I have a sick tan. Just got back from the Bahamas, I know. Tall, dark, handsome. As you know. Up next, we got Kev. If you knew Kev, you know that this picture is really going to hurt him, the fact that it's up there. He's a flamingo in a flock of pigeons. At some point in the last 15 years, I won't say when, he put a muddy mouth guard that we found in his mouth for $4. Only wore one tie every day for 4 years of high school. Hates cats so much that I'm starting to think that he loves them. An insane combination of favorite sports teams. 6. Once I asked him to think of a number between 1 and a million, and he gave me 6. That's Kev. And finally, our last voter profile. George. I took that photo. Anything but predictable. Doesn't listen to music or anything when he drives. In case you didn't hear me correctly, doesn't listen to music or anything when he drives. Has turned in the single worst karaoke performance I've ever seen in my entire life. Born to Run, Bruce Springsteen, San Diego, California, 2012. I'll never forget where I was. Tried to pay for his wedding after party with a single $20 bill. And likes to steal other people's style and claim it as his own. That's it for today. Short, sweet. Actually, don't know how long I was. I had a good time. Barry, you had a good time? Barry, my guy. Like I said, the brackets will be out right after this. Shouldn't take much editing, I wouldn't think. I feel like I nailed it first try and all. Talk to you guys soon. Also, yeah, don't forget, $17 on the line, so get those brackets in.